Okay, so the Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif has reviewed progress on the Lahore Abdul Hakim motorway and said that Pakistan will emerge a stronger economic power of the region in the next few years.
Further ahead, several development projects in the country are near completion. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif says he is personally monitoring progress on development projects.
And then we have the Executive Committee of National Economic Council has approved the Lahore-Sialkot motorway and the construction of the expressway on East Bay of Gwadar Port.
And last but not the least, moving on towards sports, Pakistan will resume their first innings today at 169 for 2 against West Indies in third cricket test at Dominica. PTV Sports is telecasting the match live.
Excellent.
Well, I think that's about the top stories, ladies and gentlemen. But time now to move on towards the public service message. And over to you, Maha.
Yes. So let's see. I love our PowerPoint presentation. The public service message today is, we told you about the keeping hydrated, keeping frozen water in the car to pass it on to people who may be stuck on the streets. But also another thing regarding the water bottles in your car is about where you're keeping them. This is something that we've noticed, and people have had, unfortunately, accidents as a result. But people tend to throw the plastic bottles on the feet of the passenger or behind the driver's seat or whatnot. And, the roads are kind of bumpy sometimes, or you brake or whatnot. And the water bottle rolls forward and it can get stuck underneath the brakes and it can cause an accident. So when you're finished with the bottle, or even if you're not finished with it, keep it somewhere secure and don't keep it near your pedals.
And I think I've got a better solution for that as well.
What is it? Tell us.
First of all, it is a very fabulous public service message. I don't think that quite a lot of people pay attention to that. But other than that, what you can do is, first of all, obviously, we do not tell you to throw things away. We tell you to keep your trash within your own car, even if you are traveling. What you need to do is probably just take a bag, make sure that it is tied to probably a gear knob or anything if you can tie it to, and then just keep on throwing all of your trash into it. And once it's full, just throw it into the bin.
The gear knob is also a very dangerous place to put it because it can pull, but that is a solution.
Yeah, but for me it is different because it's a 4x4 car, so I've got 2 gear knobs.
Okay, well, not everyone has those privileges.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's our public service message. So just be careful because we don't want you to get hurt and we don't want anyone else to get hurt.
Exactly. But now, let's move on towards the show.
Yes.
So, and I'm really excited about it as well. But, whenever we talk about Mother Nature or Earth itself, what kind of feelings do you have for Mother Nature and Earth?
You keep asking me this question and I only have one answer. I love it.
You love it, and it is fabulous. But
That's
for me,
great.
it is very different. For me, it is very mesmerizing at times.
Okay.
Then at times it is very stormy. It's like, you do get these weathers as well. And then, when you live on such a vast, expanded land, what happens is that you've got so much to see. But I don't think that majority of the people on the globe tend to see all the countries, which is approximately 192 or 193 countries. But there are people who want to do that.
Exactly. And there's also, the thing is, we barely even see the countries we live in, but there are also people out there who are going around the world. And lately, we've seen an influx of people from certain countries traveling through Pakistan. And we've been really lucky. We've been joined by someone who also is very much into this and is doing something very adventurous.
Yeah, so let's talk about it as well. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy, he's got some immense love for Mother Nature as well. He's been traveling on his bicycle. He's been through 11 countries now, and he's still riding a bicycle. Oh, and he's here in the studio.
Exactly.
Wow.
So we've been joined by Mark Gresser. He is our international cyclist for today, also known as Budgie Escapee.
So I think we'll give him time to settle down, and till then, we're going to go for a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys are going to come back, we'll be in conversation with this amazing human being who's traveling on his bicycle. Let's take a break. Good morning.
Welcome back, everyone. And we have been joined by Mark Gresser, who is our international cyclist, and Shazad gave our introduction before the break. Hello, how are you? Welcome to the show.
Morning, thank you for having me.
And okay, so it's great, and Shazad's going to get.
And Gresser is obviously from Australia, ladies and gentlemen. Previous week we had 2 more people who were riding on their bikes. They were going through Pakistan. Yeah, motorbikes. They were going through Pakistan. So what is it with Australia? Nobody wants to stay back at home.
No, everyone's pretty adventurous, I think. As soon as you finish studies, the first thing people want to do is just get out and see the world and understand a bit more about it.
Okay, excellent. That's
Yeah, that is amazing. But other than that, since I was going through your profile, so you know, that was a very interesting interview. First of all, that's something I need to say because it was on a magazine, and it started with something where it was like that, you know, you are in love with elderly women, and I was like, oh, dude, I'm not really getting it. So what is it about?
I have lots of time to think when I'm cycling, so I thought up a way of an about article. Websites always have the about section. I just thought I'd make it a little bit more interesting and in a creative way just introduce my love of nature, Mother Earth. So I told a little story about that.
So when did you actually realize that, you know, you were in love with Mother Nature and you want to probably go around and, you know, see what it is like to be on a bicycle as well?
I think it developed slowly as I grew up in Australia. I come from Western Australia. I grew up in an area called the Perth Hills, which is hilly country, forests. So for weekends and after school, I'd spend time mountain biking in the hills and just spend time outside. Mum and Dad were always encouraging my brothers and my sister and I just to get out, spend our time outdoors. So I think it grew from there and then developed into an academic interest.
Okay, yeah. So then you moved on and you became a zoologist.
Yes.
Okay, and then you worked for a few years. So tell us about how you got to this journey and how this started.
I was, when I finished studies, I was keen to travel. So I went backpacking, as many Australians do, when they finish studying. And it was then that I saw someone traveling on a bicycle, and I had never seen it before. I thought it was the coolest thing ever. You know, I was stuck to catching buses and trains and timetables, whereas this guy that I saw on a bicycle had absolute freedom. He could go where he wanted, whenever he wanted, and I wanted to do the same.
And the cost is very less. It's all, you just have to fuel your own self, I think.
That's right.
What it
and
is.
that was part of the interest because I'm interested in the environment and conservation. It's an environmentally friendly way to get around.
Okay, excellent. Now, tell us, you've so far been to 11 countries, but how did you start preparing for a journey? Like, when you decided I want to do this and be free and have my freedom, how did you decide I'm going to travel the world riding a bike, and then how did you prepare for it?
It probably goes back to when I was backpacking and first saw someone cycling. When I continued backpacking, I got to America, I bought a cheap bike, bought some bags, started cycling, and I gave up after 2 weeks. I found it too hard, no preparation, no planning. So I did end up going back home, worked as a zoologist for 3 years. During that time, I was able to save the money I needed and do the research. So there was limited resources, I felt, at home to talk to people, but luckily these days with the internet, other people who have done it have written blogs, so I spent a lot of time reading. And
Yeah, amazing that is. But other than that, you know, obviously you gave up after 2 weeks, and you said that there was not much of research done, or you know, not a lot of hard work put in. But other than that, you know, okay, 3 years gone, you've saved enough money. Now you're about to embark on your journey as well. So then, how many people were there to actually support you with the idea that you want to go around the world on a bicycle?
Just my friends and family. I didn't really publicise the fact. I knew that, in a way, I knew that there was a chance I'd give up again, so I didn't perhaps want to tell so many people, but I was definitely more committed this time. But it was simply friends and family and my family that waved me off. I literally rode out of the driveway onto the street.
And then out of 11 countries, would you mind naming them as well, so that we can
Sure,
probably
absolutely.
decide, okay, which country was best and which wasn't?
Yeah, no worries. It includes Australia, and then I went to Timor-Leste,
All right.
Indonesia, Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Myanmar, Bangladesh, Nepal, India, and now
That seems to be like a popular route, or not?
Well,
Was that actually a route, or do you guys just make it up?
For me, it was kind of as direct as you can get to start cycling around the world from Australia.
Okay. Sorry. I have to ask you. Now, okay, you gave up after 2 weeks. Like, you've made all these 11 countries. I mean, how many hours a day do you ride?
Exactly,
How
that's the exact thing which I was about to
How
ask.
fast do you ride? I mean,
Yeah.
like, don't you get stitches? Doesn't it get hot? Like, I don't understand.
It changes all of the time because
Yeah.
it depends on the terrain. Is it mountainous or is it flat? The weather. For example, here in Pakistan the last few days, you're talking about water issues and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Everyone to keep hydrated. It's been very hot, so that affects how far I ride. On average, I would cover, if it's not too challenging terrain, I'd cover 100 kilometers each
100
day.
kilometers a day.
A day.
Yeah.
So how many days? So how many days does it take to probably go through one country?
It depends on the visa, actually.
Yeah.
So what has tended, I never made any plans from the beginning, but what has tended to happen is I tend to love spending time in each country and I stay there until the very last day that I have to leave.
Okay. Excellent. Okay, now,
All right, so we do even have pictures of your journey as well, and
Yeah.
we're definitely going to ask you some interesting facts about your journey. But there's one more thing which I wanted to ask. What do you carry in these bags?
It's everything
They're
I need
everywhere.
to survive, and it's kind of like having...
Would you mind if you can take these things out as well?
I actually don't have the objects themselves inside the bags. It's just
they're just a show
I've left
today.
them at home. Yes,
Yeah.
but I've got camping equipment, so I can sleep wherever I want in a tent. I've got cooking equipment, so I can cook food. I've got my cameras to record the journey.
Okay.
And how much weight do you think you've lost since the time you've
Oh.
been on this journey? Yeah.
My weight fluctuates, but generally I look like this anyway.
Okay, great. Now, okay. So now, when you were preparing and when you were getting all like the tent, all the camping stuff, how much, like roughly, like the preparation financially? How is it an expensive task you've taken?
It can be, so it depends what route you want to take. I was working as a zoologist and I felt I had the time to save up money, buy quality gear. So I went down the route of buying the best stuff that I could find.
Okay.
And I didn't mind spending more time at home working so I could
Okay.
have this gear. But at the end of the day, all you need is 2 wheels that roll. Some people do it on the cheapest bikes ever and still manage to
I think
get
there
around.
will be a day when we'll be actually having somebody who's going through the world on roller skates as well. I think
Exactly,
that's what
yeah,
it's
Probably
gonna
when
come
you're
down to.
doing it. But another thing, okay, now what I want to ask you, you've been traveling, you could do 100 kilometers a day.
Yeah.
How is it? Because you've been cycling by yourself.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for 2 years now.
Yeah.
Doesn't it get lonely, or how do you do it? And you said you think a lot, like, what's
Yeah,
going on?
it does get lonely sometimes, but I'm also of a personality type where it doesn't affect me negatively. So lonely times, they don't have to be a negative experience.
Absolutely.
It makes you appreciate the life you've come from, your family and friends. And I do enjoy certain amounts of solitude. I enjoy being by myself in remote areas,
Excellent.
traveling. So
And it gives you time to think as well. But
Yeah.
one
Exactly.
personal question, very sorry.
No
I'm
worries.
known for that.
He's
too
not
as well.
sorry, because he does this to
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay. Were you in a relationship when you left from Australia?
when I left from Australia, no, I wasn't. But
Now
it's-
you are.
I'm not now, no. So that's one thing that plays on my mind is the incompatibility between traveling the world like this and relationships.
Okay.
In a place like Pakistan, people ask, what is your name? And then they ask, are you married?
Yeah.
And I have to say no, then they ask, why are you not married? And yeah.
This.
Obviously
just point,
somebody-
just point to this,
Yeah,
and like this
yeah.
is why.
He's riding to
Yeah.
the bicycle. I think that's what it is. He's
Yeah.
married to a bicycle. But other
Okay.
than that, now let's talk about your worst experiences, because majority
move
of
to
the
the
time,
best.
the only thing which comes up to my head whenever we talk about traveling
Yep.
is the visa policies of different countries and when you're crossing the borders as well. So the
Yeah.
worst experience you've ever had so far, what was it?
It's related to injuries.
Oh.
Okay.
So all my dealings with people, with borders, have been fantastic.
Okay.
Okay.
It's just one particular time I can talk about is when I was in Indonesia and it was the monsoon season, so it was raining every day. You can imagine being on a seat, skin rubbing when it's wet all day.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
basically got
Let's not get into further detail.
yes, yeah. So I got infected, sores get infected very easily. So there was a period of time where I couldn't cycle
Oh,
for
no.
six weeks. That happened twice actually.
Oh, gosh.
So it was during these times where I'm like, I'm stuck in a place.
Yeah.
I'm like, what am I doing here?
Oh, gosh.
Getting depressed because I'm not moving anywhere, not making any progress in my journey, in pain.
Okay.
So any accidents meanwhile, because you've been through 11 countries now.
Yeah. Small ones. In Nepal, for example, I was riding down a mountain,
Yeah.
going about 35 kilometres per hour, and my front tyre blew. and that when your front tire blows, you lose control.
Oh no.
And I was incredibly lucky because if I went left, I would have shot straight off the edge of the mountain. There was no safety barriers, but it pulled me right and I smashed into the mountainside, and I did hurt myself, but
It's better than
Better than
going
the-
off the edge
exactly.
of the road. Oh my God. Okay, that's one of my fears actually when driving on these hills. That I'm just going to drive off the end.
I think that's one of my fears as well when you're driving on a motorway.
Yeah.
And you know,
Okay.
God forbid if your tire bursts, so please do check on your tires as
Okay,
well.
now in regards to, we'll find out how long this whole journey and what you plan to do for the whole thing. But out of the 11 countries, you said you've had no problem with visas, but it's taken time. But what, so far out of all of them, what are the other countries that stick out most in your mind? What are your favorite places?
I always
You are
find
sitting
it-
in Pakistan though, so that has to be in the list. I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, I'll start off with Myanmar. It's difficult to choose a favourite because every country offers unique experiences, but Myanmar is the place that I'd like to revisit, go back to first. Part of that is because my time got cut short because I had a knee infection that prevented me from riding, so I didn't see as much as I would have liked. But in the time I spent there, it was the most mind-blowing experience that I had.
Wow.
And part of that is because Myanmar, it only recently opened itself up to tourism, so it's very easy to get off the beaten track, and I was passing through villages that I was told that people had never seen a foreigner in their lives before.
Oh,
So
really?
experiences like that.
So, you know, going through villages and places like these where people obviously do not speak the native language as well. So how do you think you have been communicating with them?
It's surprising how much you can communicate
Even without talking?
without talking.
Yeah.
And then the other side of it is my needs are simple. So I need a place to set up my tent.
Yeah.
I need to find food and water. And
Food,
Exactly.
water.
So have you been
sleep.
arrested so far on your journey?
No, not yet. So
Or
maybe-
have you encountered cops or policemen saying something, or probably some hurdles which were there?
I get stopped in certain countries where there is a lot of military presence and police presence. Sometimes I get stopped more often than others, but mostly it's because they're curious
Okay.
and they want to ask questions. Yeah.
Okay,
Wow.
wonderful. And now, okay, so you've gone to all of these countries, and so you've also tasted the special food, special
Yeah.
delicacies, and all
Yeah.
these things. What are the things that have been sticking out to you most?
In terms of food,
In terms of food.
I love the food of Indonesia.
Yeah.
Part of that is because it's so readily available. I don't even have to plan for food. When I get hungry, there's a street stall with fresh food that's just been cooked,
Okay.
readily available. Getting to Pakistan has
Yeah.
been a surprise because I love the Pakistan food. Previously I spent time in India and I thought, oh, perhaps the food's similar, but there is quite a distinct difference. And
Okay, great. I'm glad you said that because a lot
Let's
of people
highlight the
don't
difference as well. So why do you think it's different?
Well, the spices, it is a bit more spicy, which I absolutely love because I like spicy food. I've had some incredible biryani while I've been here.
yeah, biryani is the best. I had biryani.
Yeah,
as well.
you know, everybody who's not from Pakistan comes over here, loves biryani for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
And where did you eat it from, though?
I was cycling close to lunchtime and some guys pulled up next to me and they invited me to lunch and they took me to a restaurant.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So, but well,
Are you
are you picky about your restaurants, or which
No,
restaurant you're
not
going
at
to
all.
eat from, or you can eat from anywhere and there's no problem with your stomach as well?
At the moment, I need to be careful because India, I got sick very quickly,
Yeah.
so
Right.
I'm a bit more conscious than I used to be. But I've started the journey not worrying.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so now tell us, you came to Pakistan. Now, which places have you visited, and which ones are you yet to see?
Haven't seen much so far. So I entered through the Wagah border.
Okay.
Into Lahore.
Oh, right, so you've been to Lahore?
Yeah, Lahore was the first city that I saw, and I had a wonderful time there. A guy.
How was it cycling in Lahore? Everyone who lives in Pakistan or Pakistani and abroad knows.
On
Yeah.
Canal Road.
Oh
special.
my
it was-
goodness.
Yeah.
It was busy when I arrived because it was around midday
Okay.
when I was getting into the centre of the city.
Okay.
And I'm quite used to it these days though. So
Okay.
I've got a mirror. It's perhaps the most important feature on my bike is my little mirror, so I can keep an eye on traffic behind me.
Okay.
Sometimes it's actually fun because it's crazy and thrilling to survive on the roads.
Yeah,
in a
okay.
place like
But I
Lahore.
cannot see a helmet over here. But have you been riding without a helmet?
No, I ride with a helmet every
good.
single day.
And
Yeah.
then from Lahore to Islamabad, you came all the way from GT Road?
Yeah. So it took 2.5 days. Yeah.
And where did you stay while you were riding? And it was 2.5 days already, so if it's nighttime, where would you stay? Wherever you find a place, you'll stay.
Yeah, the first night was wonderful because I'd been pulled over, like I said before, the police sometimes want to chat. So the police were chatting to me, and this friendly family who had said hello as they drove past stopped, and they actually told the police that I was their friend because they thought the police were hassling me.
Oh.
So they said, oh, no, he's my friend, everything's all right. And then they actually ended up inviting me to their house.
Okay, nice.
And they had a buffalo dairy with 30 buffaloes, and
Wow.
they grew wheat. So I got to have a tour of their farm, which was excellent.
That's
and
amazing.
Amazing.
Yes.
Okay, so and now from Islamabad. So when you reached Islamabad, what did you feel?
I got into Rawalpindi,
Okay.
so I never cycled into Islamabad itself. And while I've been here, I've been hanging out with Brigadier Akram Khan, who is the president of the Adventure Foundation of Pakistan.
Oh, yes, yes.
So he's been a great contact, and I've spent some time at the foundation, which has been a great place to read up about Pakistan and what's ahead of me as I head further north.
So
Yeah.
tell us, what is ahead of you?
Within Pakistan, I'm going to jump on the bicycle and head north. I'd love to see the Karakoram Highway. It's quite famous for the scenery. You just need to Google the name, and the photos are absolutely
Amazing.
spectacular.
And once you're done with that, where are you heading?
Then from Pakistan, I cross the border into China,
All right.
then Kyrgyzstan, and then across Central Asia and Europe.
Okay. Okay, and now how long is, because we know your other interests and we really want to get to that as well, but how much longer is this journey and everything?
For me, it's limited by the money that I saved up in the 3 years working before I left. I'd like to reach the United Kingdom by the end of the year or early next year. I've got a deadline to return to Australia in January because my sister gets married.
Oh, great.
So I have to be home.
Okay,
in
excellent.
January.
And
You're
you
gonna
have
be
to
like
complete your journey anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what about your habit of sketching? So while you're cycling, do you sketch meanwhile
Must be
as well?
amazing.
Yeah, so it's important to have hobbies that take your mind away from the challenges of cycling, and for me that's art. I've always had an interest in
Put some
art.
Yeah.
images up.
So
on
that's a
screen.
drawing from Timor-Leste.
Okay.
So wherever you go, you start sketching as well if you see
Yeah,
something interesting.
I'd prefer drawing than taking photos. It takes more time, but that's the good thing about it because it lets me soak in the atmosphere of the place I'm in rather than just walking past, quick photo and
Okay.
leaving.
And okay, so now when you so you're doing all the sketching while you're going, you know, you're having a really incredible experience by the sounds of it. What do you, when you go back, like what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Like, 'cause, I mean,
I-
how do you get back to normal life?
I have no idea. I'll have to see what happens when I have to face those questions. But
So where are these places? Tell us.
that was in Australia. That was, that's a friend's dog.
Okay.
I stayed, that's a beach I slept on in Australia.
We've seen this
Have
one.
you seen this one?
There was one after this.
That was a beach in Indonesia called
Okay.
Koka Beach.
This one?
That was Karajini in Australia. That's a bird that lives in northern Australia. And that's Perth City, so that's where I'm from.
Excellent.
Well, amazing
Lovely.
that is. But one last thing which I want to ask, and that is, so when usually you call your parents or your siblings back home and you tell them that this is where I am.
Yeah.
So they obviously try to judge your mood by your vocal tone. So how many times do you think it has happened that they have actually asked, are you even fine? Are you doing well? Why did you just come back
Why are you
home?
going to that country? Are you insane?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of my communication is written, so they don't necessarily pick up on that, but certainly there have been times where I've needed the support, like when I had injuries and I'm feeling depressed, where, Mum, like, you know, mums are always good at those sorts of things, so she knows how I'm feeling when I was talking to her in that instance. Yeah, she was able to pick my mood up. And,
Okay.
Amazing.
And so, and they're encouraging you and supporting you throughout this whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, excellent.
Thank you very much for being
Yes,
here.
and if you'd like, if there's any message you'd like to give to anyone who's like maybe looking to travel or encourage them to visit.
On a bicycle.
Yeah, absolutely. Perhaps if I was to give one message, it would be to realise that the hardest thing is the first step, to actually leave home. It becomes much easier after that, but it's just having that courage to just say, right, I'm doing it, and just going off and...
Amazing that is.
Excellent.
Thank you
Well,
very much for coming
yes.
over. You know,
Thank you
it
very
was
much.
a pleasure. And
It
whenever
was.
you're coming back, if on your way back, you landed over here in Pakistan, please do come over the show as well.
Good luck as well,
Thank you
and
very much.
we will be following your journey and hope you make it to your sister's wedding in time as well.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Ma, but there's one more thing which I
Oh.
want to do. I'm very sorry.
He forgot
So,
he has
you
a
know,
question.
for a person like you who needs to cycle all around the globe, you obviously have to be very cautious about what you eat as well. So how do you maintain all of your, routine of what do
Nutrients
you eat, and then your drinking habits. So for all those people who wants to travel, I think that's going to be very beneficial for them.
Yeah, so electrolytes to add to water is very important in hot climates. So I'm always carrying, I wouldn't travel without electrolytes
Alright.
to keep the salts up, because you're obviously sweating a lot when you're cycling. And food, I say just go for it. Just try everything. And if you get sick, you get sick. It's part of the experience.
Yeah,
Great.
just keep a first aid kit with you. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
yes, that's it.
Great. Thank you so much and best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, so now we're going to go for a short break. And when you come back, we're going to be
Talking
twisting it.
about, I think we're going to talk about hospitality.
Exactly.
And that's what you experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. So that's what we are talking about. Let's go for a short break. And when you guys are going to come back, you already know what we are talking about. Good morning.
Just like the billboard paintings performed in Pakistan, there is another indigenous form of art performed in Pakistan, and it is the truck art. With its all colorful floral patterns, depiction of human heroes with creative aspects, ratios, calligraphy of poetic verse, and drivers' words of wisdom. This form of art is truly a part of Pakistani transport tradition. Many trucks and buses in Pakistan are highly customized and decorated by their owners. These adjourned vehicles are considered as moving art or jingle art. Because of their unique decor style, these vehicles are quite distinct in layers from other trucks around the world. Each part of the vehicle is decorated differently, with variations depending on the regional style. In Pakistan, a truck driver, owner, usually pays $3,000 to $5,000 for their vehicle's external decoration. The art embellishes such trucks according to the particular tastes of the driver. Nearly every city in Pakistan has a unique decor. The Balochistan and Peshawari trucks are heavily trimmed with wood. Rawalpindi and Islamabad trucks have permanently featured plastic work. Camel-borne ornamentation is commonly seen in trucks decorated by Sindh artists. These trucks are also representative of different local, historical, and cultural regions of Pakistan. Thus, these trucks are also representative of different historical and cultural regions of Pakistan, the enchanting arts and crafts of Pakistan.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for everybody who just tuned into PTV World. You watch World this morning alongside Maha and Shazad.
Yeah.
And earlier today, we were in conversation with Mark Gresser.
I wanted to add something. Shazad.
Yeah.
So I wanted to, because he's traveled, like rides 100 kilometers a day. We were talking in the makeup room, and I was like, we need to start like going to the gym. We can't even go for half an hour.
And I said that, I just hate cardio. So
You
it's
know, he
perfectly
said I have a
alright.
cold shoulder. I was like, do some running. He's like, my shoulder's bad. I was like, okay.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, what happens is that when you're traveling all around the globe, you obviously need some good hotels and restaurants to eat
Exactly.
and sleep in and feel fresh and then move on with your journey.
Absolutely.
And that's what we're talking about now.
Exactly. So to discuss all of this, we've been joined by Ansar Yunus. He is an international hotelier who's worked in Italy, Ireland, Saudi, Holland, and Dubai, and he's also a hotel manager for one of the big hotels in Islamabad. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning.
Walaikum assalam.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
Besides Ansar Yunus, we've been joined by Hamad Yusuf. He is a hoteling expert, and you run the restaurant.
Baramda.
Yes.
Thank you
great.
very much for coming over. But there's one more interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, today, and that is that all the names are written on the newspaper. So it is very interesting.
Yes.
No, don't you think? For somebody who's out there, because what you did was, sorry, that you were reading out the name.
Oh, because I have my
I
notes.
thought, well, is it on the newspaper today?
Oh, I just forgot to remove the newspaper from my notes. That's fine. It's okay.
Perfectly all right. I'm
Okay,
just kidding.
so I know, it's okay. So Ansar, let's start with you with the first question. Within Pakistan, the hotelier business, how's it going?
It's going awesomely well
Yeah.
right now, especially after the CPAC. The market has expanded, and the occupancies all around, especially Lahore, Islamabad, and Karachi is just fine.
Okay, so there's one thing then. Okay, since everybody's talking about CPAC, and obviously there are quite a lot of people who are coming into the country as well. So then why can't we see more hotels being constructed or built while we're still managing with the same resources we have?
Well, there are a lot of hotels in pipeline. Obviously, I will talk about our group,
Yeah.
but there are other groups, other people coming in, the Hyatt and Movenpick, other hotels coming in. But we are preparing for CPAC for that. Like you see, CPAC, the beginning, where it's starting. It's starting from Gilgit-Baltistan, right? Where it's ending, Gwadar.
Yeah.
So in Gwadar, we made our hotel in 2007.
Yeah,
Right?
it's there.
In Gilgit-Baltistan, we're building 2 hotels,
Wow.
50 and 200 rooms hotel. So we are already preparing ourselves for the future.
So Hamad, tell us, what is this CPAC? How is it, like for the layman, because this, we're a morning show, so people are going to be like, why are we talking about this? So why do we need to know about what's happening with the hoteling business?
I think it's more like a revolutionizing activity. I see this as a digital, new ways of communication, new channels coming in. And I think with CPEC, I not only see more people coming in, but also more ways of communication coming in and different cultures combining with each other. So if I talk about restaurants, who would have thought yet that you can, order breakfast while sitting at home through an app? So I think that is something that is new to the market, and not only new people, but also new concepts.
But you never know how the kitchen looks like, whether it's dirty or not, so because you're ordering through an application anyways. But other than that, in today's day and age, I've seen quite a lot of young people. They came up with these ideas of different type of restaurants. For example, yours, Baramda. And then there's one of my friend's younger brother, Lorenzo. I think that's a different name as well. And then they're putting up pictures.
It's
Tiger Temple and all that. Let's throw in all the names.
But then,
Free marketing for
but
everyone.
then what I've seen is, in this span of a year or two, what happens is quite a lot of people get successful at it. Quite a lot of people have to shut it down. Is it the business model or what?
I think it's.
Or is it the food?
I think it's not the food. It's just.
I think it is the food as well, by the way.
It is, but I think it just looks very fancy. The business looks very fancy from the outside. So every 3 people combine and they put in some money and they think of starting a new business. But that's not how it works.
Okay, how does it work
You
then?
need to know how to.
Okay, wait. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the formula to open up a successful restaurant. Listen to this guy.
So I think it's the main key towards it is to market the right people.
Okay.
It's to hit the right people. You should know whether you're targeting the families or the youth or the corporate people. You should know your market.
All right.
So that obviously depends on how you position your brand. And secondly, I think it's about how you manage your staff, how you manage the lower staff. So
Okay,
Amazing.
so how about you, Ansar? What do you think? What do we need to get? Because there's new trends. You guys have managed to survive for a long time, but that's more established. You're part of a group. But even the new ones, how do we make sure that the quality, the service is all maintained? What's going wrong with these businesses?
Well, as my friend here mentioned, knowing your market, 2, 3 people, they get together and they invest the money and they set up the restaurant.
Yeah.
Well, you have to have first the knowledge, right? You have to have a education, experience behind you, and that all together, and knowing your market, market research, what
Okay.
people like, what they don't like.
Okay, now the thing is, no, okay, you're absolutely right, because there are people, they have too much money or too much time, and they don't want to work in a proper job, or whatever the reasons are, or they may be genuinely interested in food and starting something. Now, you guys are experts, and you've been in it. You've got a formal background in in running a restaurant and managing it. How important is it? Like, what do you know that someone like me, if I started it, why are we different? Like, how can you run a successful thing? What do you know? Let's be specific.
Picking the right team.
Okay,
When you're opening a restaurant, you need a chef,
yes,
a proper chef,
okay,
not someone who just learned here and there,
okay,
proper chef. And then, as my friend here mentioned, your team,
okay.
treating your team. Because if you treat your team well, you're going to treat your guest well. So you have a good food, chef is preparing the best food, and you have the best staff.
Okay.
They're treating your guest, your customer coming in better.
Okay.
So that sets you apart.
Okay,
Okay,
and
amazing.
this links in with employee retention, doesn't it? What
Yeah,
we discussed
exactly.
yesterday.
It does, but there's one more interesting thing, and that is that the way 5-star hotels market their different schemes or whatever is coming up is very unique, because usually what happens is, if you're going to walk into a hotel on Valentine's Day, first of all, it's all going to be full of flowers and everything, and then there'll be boards saying, 15% discount for couples only. What do you mean by that? For couples only?
Oh, so he got
Yeah,
discriminated
how
against.
How do you
He's
do that?
upset.
Now, for example, if you walk in, obviously Mother's Day is going to be here around the corner as well, and we're going to do a special transmission, ladies and gentlemen, on Sunday, which reminds me that definitely. So there'll be different things to obviously cater to as well, which nobody's going to mind. But on Valentine's Day, people take it the other way as well. That, why only couples?
Well, it is meant to be
Yes,
a couple.
that
Yeah,
is
Valentine Day. You can
Valentine's
have
Day
a Valentine Day alone.
Well,
Well, first of all, we don't celebrate
No,
it
but
here.
Valentine's Day can be celebrated with your mom as well, with your father as well, with your brother as well, because
Any
it's
day
about
of the
sharing
year.
Still,
love. Yeah.
still more than one person, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but that cannot be a couple. That's what I'm saying, right?
Okay. Anyway, we're going off the point. So anyway, so let's talk about this now. Let's talk about the branding and the marketing and how we can, because we've seen. In Islamabad, we're focusing on Islamabad because we've seen the trends here. It happens in Lahore, it happens in Karachi, but they're very particular about their food and their service in those cities. And I haven't been to Peshawar, so I don't know. But in Islamabad, what we've noticed is that they pop up, they're great for a few months, and then
Gone.
they're gone.
Or they rebrand it and then come back with a different cuisine. That's what they do.
Yeah, so like I said before, I think every other guy who opens up a restaurant thinks that I'm going to target the youth because that's where the
The
masses
majority
get,
population.
Yeah.
But I think the fact is that a restaurant can never be successful if they're only targeting the youth.
Okay.
Because families are the ones who are your loyal customers.
Yeah.
They are the ones who would order a starter, a main course, a dessert.
Yeah, the youth,
And,
probably the youth they're targeting are probably even employed, so they have to get money from their parents
Yeah.
anyway.
And even other than that, if you're going to have a restaurant full of boys, which family is going to come in?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's what you need
And
to look
I think
after as well.
What I've noticed since I've opened my own restaurant, and I've also seen other restaurants running. So the youth always goes to new places.
Yeah.
They go to the place that's the most hit place, and then they
Trendy. Yeah.
change their places. So a restaurant has to have a lot of family customers who keep coming in and who they can retain for a long time.
Loyalty,
there's
customer loyalty.
But obviously, there's a smaller life cycle of a restaurant, which I've witnessed over here in Islamabad and Ma. I'm sure you
I
might
think
have experienced that too.
that
as
is
well.
where your marketing and your strategies and your innovation comes in. You need to have a 5-year plan.
Yeah.
You need to see where the trends are going. You need to see where you know.
Hashtags
Yeah,
and
like,
whatnot.
so sorry, you guys have been quite successful.
And you
at
always
that.
have quite a lot of restaurants as well.
Yeah,
We have
and
nine.
you have customer loyalty, families, youngsters, all that stuff. How does one get to that point, especially with the whole influx which will be coming with CPAC?
Especially the first point that you asked my friend here,
Hamad.
that
Hamad.
Hamad, sorry,
Yeah.
Hamad,
Yeah.
that when they open the restaurant, first couple of months, it's very successful,
Yeah.
and then it goes down. It's the maintenance and upkeep. You go to when I go to a restaurant outside, the first thing, it's strange. The first thing I go, I check the toilet.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
That
obviously.
puts me off.
Yep.
You can go to Islamabad, and 99% of the restaurant is pathetic.
Yeah,
That
I'm gonna
part
start
is-
checking this now. Actually,
Because that's where
But that's
you
why your
see-
mother says, you better go to the washroom before leaving home. Because
That's
they already
probably why
know
it's not-
99%
She also
of the
says
washrooms
don't
gone.
eat outside.
that's also true. Okay.
I ate outside yesterday and I'm sick.
Okay. Oh no! I ate outside yesterday and I'm fine.
Okay,
but
but
I
there's-
went to my friend's place and it's
There's
really
one
good.
more thing which I need to ask, and I want you to please make our people aware of the fact. What do you think is the core of hospitality?
The core of hospitality, knowing your customer, right? Anticipating their need. If you are coming to me and I know that Shahzad
Yeah.
Khan is coming to my hotel, I should do a little research. I know you are a celebrity, you run a morning
Thank you very
show.
much for that.
I should know, research,
What's going on?
what is your preference, what do you like? Okay, maybe breakfast, in the dinner,
Okay.
you prefer sushi and all
Okay,
that.
so that's fine. So you know what the
anticipating the
cus- yeah.
need of the guests and
Yeah.
addressing them.
And then
Okay.
there's one
So
more
those are
thing.
the two things.
Yeah.
Okay.
First is know your customer,
Know your
and then
customer.
the second is know your customer.
And be prepared.
Be
basically.
prepared.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. But there's one more thing. Now, obviously, knowing your customer has its own dimensions as well. When you know your customer very well, at times he or she starts to think that he or she owns the restaurant or the hotel by themselves as well. So where does that barrier comes in, where you have to actually stop them? That is getting over my
Wait,
head.
because I know when I was growing up in England, it was customer is always right. Now what we've seen, these nice American airlines beating up their passengers.
Yeah.
Over here, even you have people being rude to you. I mean, where
People
do you?
start shouting, they do
It's
stuff
our
which-
money. We're
yeah.
giving it to other people. That's why that business is running. So who's right here and who's wrong?
In Pakistan, around the world, it's as you mentioned that customer is right.
Yeah.
In Pakistan, customer is always very, very right. Still,
Yeah.
American airline and all that is abroad.
Yeah.
Here, customer is always very, very,
You almost
very
saved
right.
your job.
There is no.
That's true. No, the customer
Believe me.
service here is very good. What about you? What do you think, Hamad?
I think adding to what my friend here said, customers are always right, but there are times when they do exploit you as well. They do exploit the fact that they're always right. So I think we need to manage their expectations
Of course.
accordingly. And but with all those food groups coming in, all those reviews coming in,
Yeah.
we
When
need
and
to,
how in
we
Islamabad.
always have to see
Yeah.
say that they're always right.
Okay, well, that's the thing. I guess if the restaurant's done everything, they've got trained employees, staff who are doing everything on time, then no one's really going to ever complain. Well, most people won't
I don't
complain.
think that happens.
Adding up to that,
I only complain when the customer service is really
But-
bad.
Do people leave without even paying the bill?
No, it never happened. But if there's a complaint, if there's something that puts them off, we don't charge them. That's our policy.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to your restaurant, where you pluck a hair from my
Don't
mustache,
give bad
put it in
ideas.
the pizza.
I'll give you free
And then say-
vouchers instead.
Yeah, just get free vouchers that you
Free
can come.
food is always good.
Yeah. Okay. Now, just to wrap up, because we are running out of time, what would you say to anyone thinking about going into the hospitality industry?
okay, there are two pictures.
Yeah.
The nice one, the other side. Nice one is right. There is a load shedding in the country. We never feel that all the time in AC. Well dressed, right?
I was
No
talking about
tension.
this yesterday.
The other side is when you are choosing hospitality as a career, I always ask them, is it coming from here? Right? No, it has to come from here, from belly. That fire in your belly, because on your Eids, on your Christmases, on your festive periods, you're working. And your family is celebrating.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
On weekends, you're working because it's a busy period. Family is celebrating. So it has to come from your belly. Really, you want it, then come to hospitality.
How about you, Hamad? What would
I
you say?
think we need to kill our ego if we need to come in this business. We need to accept the fact that we're the,
G, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we're the
you're there
G,
just
sir
to
guys.
provide a
Yes,
service.
yes, man.
Yeah,
Yes,
so we need to change our roles very frequently. We
Okay.
cannot just stick to it.
But do you think it is fair enough to invest quite a lot of chunk of money into restaurant business these days?
I think with so much competition coming in, anyone who's planning to start a new restaurant should look on the untapped markets rather than putting in money in the already so much
So
competitive.
you don't want that much of competition.
You like-
Oh, the prices are going to go lower, bro.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
and
thank you for
have a
having us
nice
here.
day.
Thank you very much once again. But ladies and gentlemen, right now we need to
Yes.
move on towards the interesting facts about penguins today.
Absolutely, we got penguins.
What do we call penguins in Urdu though?
I don't know. You're
Well,
the
even I do not know.
penguins are so cute. Oh my
All right,
God,
so
they're
a male penguin offers a pebble to a female penguin.
Aw.
If she takes it, they become partners.
Uh-huh.
Some penguins don't build nests. Instead, they carry their eggs on their feet.
Penguins are so cute. So the quick facts about penguins: an adult penguin can go up to
30 inches.
30 inches. It weighs 30 pounds. There's a population of 2 million pairs. And the location for the king penguin, sorry, this is about the king penguin. It's in the barren coast of the subantarctic islands, and they eat fish and squid.
Yeah, and then adding on to the interesting facts, ladies and gentlemen, penguins are cool in many different ways. One reason is the rockhopper builds their nest in rocky areas. Penguins don't live in the best habitats for finding nesting materials, so they have to make do with what they have.
Yeah, and they dig burrows underground to form huge cities similar to gophers. When the mum lays the eggs, she gives it to the dad penguin to take care of until the mum comes back with food for the baby and the dad.
And
so
then-
that the dads have it easy on every, like,
Exactly,
every
and then
way.
found only in Antarctica, living on the ice packs and its surrounding oceans, the emperor penguin is very sociable and lives in packs of 500 to 20,000.
And the penguin is usually found around the water, but their breeding sites are called rookeries and are found miles away inland on solid ice.
And they can hold their breath for 20 minutes.
Amazing. So that is our facts about penguins. We just thought we'd start educating you guys because we got tired of the fruits and veg. So with that, log on to our Facebook fan
Which
page,
is with the name of World This Morning.
our Twitter page,
World This Morning, World This Morning.
our YouTube and Daily Motion page.
I think I told that earlier, and the Twitter page is World This Morning without a G.
Oh, yes, it is. And the repeat of that.
5 past 11 p.m.
And we'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning. Have a wonderful day.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Thank you.